Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplaced. Today I'm taking a look at Point Galaxy from designers Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, and Shawn Stankewich, and publishers Flatout Games and AEG. This is now the third game in a series, Point Salad, Point City, and now Point Galaxy, all of which are sort of lightweight, light to middling weight card drafting games where on your turn you are drafting two cards from a set of cards, sort of a market of cards on the table, choosing either to draft sort of one side of the card or the other from that market, aiming to build a variety of different sets to score points based on the sets that you are collecting. No disclaimer needed on this one, as I did pick this one up with credit from my sponsor, Noble Knight Games. If you don't already know, this channel is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. They are a brick and mortar game store in Wisconsin that also has a wonderful online presence. I should point out that as this video goes up, they are having their largest sort of sale of the year, their big holiday sale. Head on over and check that out. Please, if you do, remember to use my affiliate link down below to get a little kickback to help out my channel so I can keep doing these videos that I do. But I should mention that every month Noble Knight gives me a little bit of a credit to help me pick up games that I wouldn't get otherwise to show off on this channel, and this is one of those. With all that said, let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode in this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Point Galaxy, begin by taking this huge deck of planet and space cards, giving them a good shuffle, and then taking out 59 cards from this deck to use for gameplay, meaning that I will be returning 81 cards back into the box. Then you are going to take that shuffled deck of 59 cards with the space side face up, means the non-planet side face up, splitting these into three roughly equal piles of cards at the top of the play area. And then from each of those stacks, we are going to turn over the top two cards, placing them down below to make a grid of 3 by 3. You're then going to take the collection of these rocket tokens, giving them a good mix, and we're going to choose 10 of them at random to be used for that particular gameplay. For the solo mode, we will also need to take one of those leftover rocket tokens that aren't being used for scoring this game, setting it up here, pointing down at this first column. This is actually going to be moving around, and actually I will need to slide these down to make a bit more space at the bottom of the screen, but that rocket is going to be moving around, sort of tracking the AI. That's going to dictate what the AI is going to do on any given turn of theirs. And then to finish setting up both myself and the AI is going to need one of these starting sun cards. You can see they're marked here with this little S in the corner. Those are double-sided, so I'm sort of just going to give those a shuffle, flipping some over as I shuffle, and I will deal one to the AI over here and one to myself over here, placing them so that I have enough sort of space for my own tableau over here and the AI's tableau over here, and I may need to shift things as we go, but that will be fine to start. The only other thing is this player aid, which will explain all of the different card types on one side and will then also explain how to set up, which I've already done, but then more importantly, how to score at the end of the game. So with that, we are all set up for gameplay. And a solo game of Point Galaxy is going to take place over a total of 13 rounds, taking turns between myself and the AI, drafting 2 cards each from this display on our turn, and then adding it to our tableau, depending on what type of card it is that we are adding. And again, I will take 2 cards, refilling. The AI will take 2 cards, refilling. On my turn, I can take any 2 cards from anywhere here, meaning I can take any of these planets and or I can take any of these sort of non-planet space cards at the top. And the AI is simply going to be drafting the first 2 cards in the direction that the rocket is currently pointing, and then that will shift over to the next space, completing one full sort of loop of this space. Although just having said that, I do realize that this now should be pointing here to start and not from the top corner. So it will make a full revolution all the way around and come back to this point for the last turn of the game. So why am I drafting cards? Well, clearly I'm drafting cards to score points, as is the AI, and I'm hoping to score more points than the AI by the end of the game. And there are a variety of different card types in this game, as shown again on this card. We've got planets, which will make up the majority of what we're drafting. Planet X, which is just a wild type of planet. Suns, moons, wormholes, and asteroids. And I might as well start with the suns since we are both starting with a sun. And each sun is going to sort of be identifying one sort of solar system that we are building into. And for each solar system or each column of cards that I'm building, I am going to be placing in planets underneath that sun, hoping to score a bunch of points based on the planets that I'm placing in there. And there are sort of two ways that I'm going to be scoring for that solar system. And the first one is the scoring as shown on that sun card. So for this particular solar system, I will be scoring 2 points for every set of green and blue planets that I have below this card. But the other way that I'm going to be scoring points for these solar systems is going to be based on this here. The number of unique numbered planets in said system will score based on this. So 1 planet will be 1 point, 2 will 2, 3 with 3 points, and then 4 planets would be 5, 5, 7, 6, 9, and 7 would be 12 points if I can manage to get all 7. And I say all 7 because the planets' values as shown here in the top left corner will range from values of 1 to 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And when I'm placing a planet into a system, I can only place it on top of the bottommost card or behind the topmost card. And everything must be placed in order, either increasing or decreasing. They do not need to be specifically sequential. So I could say place a 6 and then a 2, but that means I can only then place a 7 above that 2 and a 1 below that 2. Sorry, a 7 above the 6 and a 1 below that 2, meaning in that system I could then not play the 3, 4, or 5 card. And the colors, again, are only mattering for the scoring from the sun as well as other kinds of scoring that I'll talk about in just a minute. But I'm trying my best to place as many cards as I can sequentially into that system. The only way that I'm ever going to be able to break that is if I play one of these wormhole cards. By playing a wormhole card into a system, it then basically resets whatever the order was in that system. So for example, if I had played 7-2 like this, and then I played a wormhole, after that too, I could then play a 6, and then could play a 5 like that because I've reset. However, in this I then have to still be in order, and above that I would still have to be in order. It just allows me to basically have 2 systems with the same sun. So I'm sorry if I reset that poorly, but that is good enough to start. Nothing's really changing if I did mess anything up. But that is basically how our systems are going to score. The other kinds of cards that you haven't seen yet are moons and asteroids. The moons look something like this, and there are several types of them. Some of them are dual colored like this one right here. Some of them are single colored like this. And these also get slotted into the row of planets in your system. And they will score these points if they are adjacent to the planets that they'd like to be adjacent to. You are allowed to play them wherever you want to, because you'll see, for example, here, there are suns that score based on the number of moons that are in that system in total. So you don't have to match these conditions to put them into the system, but if you'd like to score these points, they need to be adjacent to whatever it shows here. So this needs to be adjacent to 1 green planet to score, and this one would need to be adjacent to both 1 sort of pink planet and 1 blue planet in order to score. The other unique card that we haven't seen yet are the asteroids, and the asteroids are just going to be a set collection kind of thing. And when you gain an asteroid, the asteroids actually have to be associated with one of your suns. So I can only have as many asteroids as I have suns, and then at the end of the game, as shown on this card, whoever has the most asteroids in their entire universe will score 10 points, and whoever has the second most would score 6 points. And in the case of a 3 or 4 player game, you also have a 3rd place score. So these cards are also potentially coming out of these space cards at the top here. The last thing I need to talk about are some of the extra tags on the planets. And that means these sort of research tags right here, and there are a variety of them, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I believe. Yes, that's correct. And those are going to be another sort of set collection that you're aiming to complete by the end of the game, but you're aiming to complete them in your entire universe, not in a specific solar system. And then based on this scoring card I showed you before, based on the number of unique research icons you've had, you will score a number of points from this table here. But also, Some of these other rockets that you can see down here, for example, this one, would score 4 points for every set of 3 identical research tags you had at the end of the game. So what about these rockets? In the corner of many of these planets, you will see rockets. Some of them will actually have 2 rockets as well. And when I have sort of multiples of 5 rockets in my entire universe, I will be able to draft new scoring conditions from these rockets down at the bottom. So as soon as I have 5 rockets, I'll take one. If I can manage to get to 10 rockets, I'd take another one. If I can get to 15, I'd take another one, and so on. And the opponent, the AI opponent, will also be chasing me for these rockets as well. And again, when I do have those multiples of 5, I can choose from any of these rockets down here. This one's scoring 1 point for every 2 green planets in my universe. This is a flat 4 points. 1 point for every orange, pink, purple group. 2 points for every set of all 5 colors, blue, green, orange, purple, and pink. 1 point for every asteroid that I have in my universe. 2 points for every system with 6 or more cards, planet cards. 4 points for every 3 of the same researched flag or tag. 1 point for every 2 planets, purple planets. 3 flat points, and then 2 points for every system with at least 7 planets in it. And I say at least because, remember, if I use a wormhole, I could potentially have multiple cards of the same value in them. But remember, only unique values will score for that sort of planet set collection chart that I showed you before. So that's basically all there is to it, except for how the AI is going to use their cards. The AI does not care about sequential order of anything because they're not smart enough to pay attention to that. So when they place cards into their column, they will place a card into the leftmost column that does not already contain whatever number it is that they're placing. And you'll see how that works as I play. In addition, their suns, moons, asteroids, and wormholes don't follow any rules, don't need to be in any columns. I'm just going to keep separate piles of those, and they're going to score based on basically the number of cards of those types that they collect as they play. So with that, let me go ahead and get into gameplay. I do see I'm looking first off in this system to collect green and blue planets. And I think I might just go ahead and jump right in like that, taking this 7, which is a dual color green and pink, and then from there playing this 5, like that. It does mean I've skipped the 6, but that's still plenty of option for things that can be played into it. And starting with a 2 to a 5 is too big a jump, so we are going to do that. So I will flip this one to place there is a 6 orange planet, and there's a 7 green again. That's a double rocket. The AI again will take whatever this is pointing at. So they're going to take this wormhole, starting a wormhole pile, and they will take this sun, adding it to their sun pile. And then this rocket will rotate to the next location where they will be taking if I don't stop them from doing so. In that case, I don't want them to take those asteroids. Let me take the asteroids. I cannot take the second asteroid, so they will be getting one from me. But I don't like anything else here, really. Green and blue is what I'm aiming for here. And it's worth pointing out here that it doesn't matter if I have a sun or not to start a new system. So without a sun, I can still start systems by taking planets. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 6-5. It is a unique research tag. It does get me another rocket. And then those are the same color and sequential, so they're really nice to build off of. Playing that there, and now we can hope to find a sun that works with pink planets. I mean, I could have done the same thing with orange and green, or green and purple and orange, but I'm banking on pink for right now. We'll see what happens. Turning over some cards. Ooh, more asteroids. More asteroids. All right, well, they are going to take those asteroids. Yuck. And they are going to take that planet, which is their first planet, starting in this column. Flipping over here. More wormholes. I really don't need wormholes. Yeah, I'm tempted to do weird stuff. I'm going to take this planet. Whoops, that should move over for them. And this moon. This moon will score automatically for being played on that 6 orange. That gives me options of purple and orange. Potentially could build off of this green with the 7. We'll see how it plays out. But there's a lot of asteroids here, and I don't like it. I want some suns. More asteroids. They take a second asteroid and this planet. They do not have a 5 in this column yet, so they'll place that there, moving this here, flipping that there. And this sun is giving me 1 points for oranges, which is annoying because they just took the orange that I wanted. But I'm going to take that anyway and play that there. Then this moon is scoring off of green and purple, which doesn't help me right now, although it could. If I took that and this 7, that 7 fits with the 6. It's got double rockets, which is great for me. And it would score because this one is dual purple-orange. Yeah, let me do that. More asteroids. All right, so I'm going to slot that in behind that 6. Because remember, you can always add to the front or the back. It doesn't help with that, but it does score me points when I get that 7, because I know he's taking that one. All right, and I did just realize and went back and checked. I took these 2 planets on the same turn that I took this asteroid, which should not have been allowed to happen. So basically everything I did shifted 1 draft later and really wouldn't have affected the way things played out. It just means that I don't have my second draft to take that right now. So that is back to where I should be, means they are going to take their 3rd asteroids. And this planet here, again, they don't have a 6 there yet, so they are going to play that there. Just checking rockets. They have 2 rockets. I have 2 rockets. Nobody's taking anything yet. This plays there. Their rocket moves here. And now I will take that moon that I said I was going to take before, and then plus that 7 planet to slot in behind that moon like that. Replacing those cards. They take this sun and this sun like that. Moving down 1 space. All right, so what am I doing? Pink, purple, orange works here if I focus on purple and orange for the rest of the time. Except right now there aren't any that I'm happy with. Over here, green and blue still doesn't help at all. Over here, more orange as well. I'm not loving what I'm seeing here. So I think I'm going to take an asteroid to see what comes out from underneath that. Hold on. Yes. Then I will take that asteroid. And great, another asteroid under there. We're fighting over asteroids for no reason right now, because I'm not scoring anything else by doing that. I was really doing that hoping there'd be a nice sun behind there. So rockets is at 4 right now. I could just draft something to have a rocket. Yeah, let's take this purple one because it starts a new system potentially. And it gets me enough rockets that I can now take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can take a rocket down here. Big groups, no. Research tags, no. I only have 2 asteroids. Pink, orange, and purple. Could be one of each. 2 points for one of each. Is blue, green, pink, orange, purple. That could be good. I mean, the flat 4 is great. And I should remember that the AI is always going to draft these from the left. So I am actually going to take that flat 4 points. Because if I don't, they will. And that's a lot of points. All right, so that's my turn. Replacing here. Orange moon pops out. AI takes this card, which is a 6, so it can't be going there. It will get placed in the next set over. And this 4, there is no 4 here yet, though, so they will do that. Replacing this one, a green, 2 purple and green, sorry. And this one here, which is an orange 2. I really do want some more in-between numbers. And I did lose the sun that I was hoping for that purple. But, I'm tempted, sorry, this should move down here. I'm tempted to take these, this one and this 2, because that gets me a rocket and a new tag, and they can both go in here, and then if I need to find a wormhole later to make that better, I can. Because that's green, blue, and that's green, blue. Yeah, let's do that. It's not the best, but will score me some points. And again, a wormhole might fix it if I can find one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rockets. We're not to 10 yet. 2 orange, and an X planet. So this is a wild planet of any value. It does not have color though, so it will not score for any of my color scorings. In any case, he's going to take that X, and they're going to place it in that first column. Now, they only can place 1 through 7, so this has to be a 1, 2, or 7. They will take that 2 as well and place that there. So now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 1 or a 7, depending on what they get later. Flipping this is a purple 3. Flipping this is a green 4. Yeah, ouch. That would have been perfect to place in here. I could put it here and hope for pink, green, something later. Don't think so, though. I'm going to take this first off. Oops, hold on. Rotating him there. Taking this to score on this purple. Ooh, and there is a pink purple, which I could potentially score on the opposite side of that purple if I could find a pink for it. But I don't see if I can. Could also put that here and get that 3 later going there. Pink and purple. Huh. I'm just worried about not knowing what's coming out is not fun. Yeah, I'm going to take this 2 and play it there because at least it's sequential and it works towards scoring in order. Ah, but if I do that, I lose that moon. Hold on. Yeah, but I think I kind of have to. No, I'm taking it. I'm going to take the risk. I want to play that there. AI takes this 4. They've already got a 4 there, so it goes there. And then this 2, they've already got a 2 there, so it goes there. Filling in some spaces. An orange 5 is beautiful. And a purple 7. Well, I am going to take the orange 5 for sure. Because that goes right there. And now I've got 7, 6, 5, and that is another orange for that. But, I could take a 3 and go put it there. If I don't take the 3, he's going to take it. Putting that there skips the 4, but it does score off the moon. Yeah, I have to take that. Put that there. This fills in there as a 2. This fills in there as a 5. Yes, he takes this 2. He's already got one, so it comes here. And he takes this 2 again, comes here. Let me slide those up so we keep everything sort of situated the same way. Filling in. Now, when we run out of space, we're sort of going to roughly split one of these in half and move it over. Flipping that there like that, moving him over like that. There's the wormhole I'd like for green. And that E has a unique tag. Would mean I'd need to find a 3 or a 4 blue for there, potentially. 2 for moons could also score there. So that's 2 points. He's going to take that 6 if I don't want the 6. I want that 6. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take this one. Playing it there, resetting that. And then I'm going to take this sun and play it there. Just counting rockets to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need one more rocket, which I could do by taking that 7 next turn. Yes. Yes. Then he takes another 2, which unfortunately I don't have space for, so I'm going to stick that up as its own thing. We'll never add to that, I'm sure. Taking a 6. There is a 6 there. There is a 6 there. He places that there. Filling in this one and this one. Well then, I definitely want this moon thing here. If I can get a blue 2 or 1, that's great. Whoops, he's rotating to there. Now, I am going to take that 7 because it will slide in back here. It doesn't help with the sun. Hold on. Fixing my column. And now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rockets. So I do get to pick another one. And I do like the variety of color. I'm not really going to count it out right now, but I think I'm going to take that 2 for sets of all colors. Replacing here. All right, then he is taking a 3, which already exists here, but not there. And this X planet, which will be the one to finish that row, filling in here and here. Again, these look like they're both roughly the same, so I'll just move those over like that. And it's my turn again. I'm not keeping track of his rockets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He just takes his 5th rocket, so he takes the leftmost rocket piece for himself, like that, and moves up to here. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rockets. So if I got 4 more, I would be able to get more stuff, but I can't really take that 7, and he's going to snipe it if I don't. I do want this 6 though, because it gets me a tag that I don't have, and it adds a green to this row, but now I need to find a blue that's a 3 or a 4. If not, I don't get the extra boost, but having that extra card is good anyway. Then, blue, purple, pink is not a great thing. Nothing's playing off of this 1, unless I just take a green to put it there. 6, 5. I wish I hadn't taken that 7 because that orange is perfect there, but I don't want to play anything there. I need a blue here, so I don't want to touch that. I don't see pink happening here. So I think I'm going to take this 3 green anyway. Do any of those mean anything? This is orange pink. I would need a pink card to come out here to score on that. No. Yeah, I'm just going to take this 3. I may end up taking that 5 later. We'll see what happens. Like that. Filling in there, filling in there. I'm only going to get 1 more turn left. I really got to hope for some stuff to help me out, but we'll see what happens. Then, he takes this 7. This is full, but there's no 7 there, so they play it there. Which is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not 10 yet. They will take this X and play it here. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. So that's a 1 or a 5. Replacing here. Replacing here. That's beautiful. We will move one of these over. Yeah, one of these over is enough. This moves here. I take my last turn, which is absolutely this 4 to play there. And 7, 6, 5. I'm taking this because I don't have a B tag, and it adds 1 more orange to that sun like that. Is my turn. This flips over. This flips over like that. And he is just going to take a moon. So let me set this down here as a separate system. A moon and a wormhole like that. That is the end of the game. We go into final scoring. Now the game does come with this handy score pad, so I will make use of that. I'm just going to clear out this middle space that I don't really need, as well as all of these tokens that are kind of in the way. And we go ahead and get into final scoring, following down this list. This is me, Mr. Purple Moose, versus Mr. AI. The first thing we're looking at is sun scoring. Here I get 2 for greens and blues. I've got green, blue, green, 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 blue. Hold on. I've got at least 1, 2, 3 greens. Yeah, and if I count that as blue, that's 3 greens and 3 blues times 2 is 6. Here I get 2 points per moon, which we've got 2. That one unfortunately isn't going to score, but that still scores for this, is 4 points from that. And here is 1 per orange, is 1, 2, 3, is another 3. So 6 and 4 and 3 is 13 points for me. And actually I said AI on the score pad, but the AI in this game actually has 3 different difficulty levels, and the only difference between the 3 difficulty levels is how they score at the end of the game. So I'm going to score all 3 difficulties just so you can see sort of the range that the different difficulties score in. So this is actually going to be easy, medium, and hard difficulty. For easy mode, they are going to score 1 point per sun, which is here 1, 2, 3, 4. For the medium difficulty, they are scoring 3 points each, so that's 12 points. And for the hard difficulty, 4 points each, scoring 16 there. Next, we look at our sets of planets. So I'm going to pull this in so I can remember those different set scores. Here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 unique planets is 9. Plus here is 1, 2, 3, 4, which gives me 5 points. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, again 5 points. And here is 2 for 2, giving me a total of 21 points. Now all 3 difficulties of the AI do score the same way for planets. So here they've got the full 7 for 12 points. Here they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 9 points. This is 2 for 2. And then 1 is 1 and 1 is 1. So another 2 points. That's 25 for them for all 3 difficulty levels. Scoring moons. I've got no moons here. This one doesn't score because I didn't get a blue below it, but this pink and purple scores 3. This green and purple scores 3, this orange scores 2, and this purple scores 2. So that's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 moons. Sorry, 10 points for moons for me. And the AI is auto-scoring any moons they got, which is just this one, so they get 2 for all 3 difficulty levels. Then looking at research, I've got A, B, C, E, F, G. That's 6 of them is 9 points for me. And the AI is going to score for all 3 difficulty levels that same way that I just scored, but also medium scores an additional 1 point for any duplicates that they may have, and hard scores 3 points per duplicate. So they've got A, B, D, G, and then another G. So 4 is 5 points. But the medium is going to score for the second G plus 1 is 6 points. And the hard level is going to score plus 3, which is 8 points like that. Counting rockets. I score the rockets as is. The AI is going to score 2 points per rocket for easy, 3 points per rocket for medium, and 4 for hard. So starting with them and just double checking rockets to make sure I didn't miss anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, they only got 1. So that is 2, 3, 4. I get a flat 4 points from my first rocket. And then this one is scoring per colors. So let me look at just the regular colors. I've got 1, 2, 3 purple. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 green. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4 green. 1 orange. 1, 2 blue. So let me see what I can do for orange. I could have 1, 2, 3 orange. I could have 1, 2, 3 blues. I do have 1, 2, 3 pinks. Then looking only at pure purples, I definitely have 3 purples and I definitely have 3 greens. So I definitely got 3 of those as an additional 6 points, means 10 points for rockets for me. Asteroids, AI got 3, I have 2. They win with most getting 10 points. And I get second most for 6 points. And this is another case where all 3 of them do score the same. So adding up the point totals, I myself scored 13, 21, 10, 9, 10, and 6 for a total score of 69 points. Easy mode AI is 4, 25, 2, 5, 2, and 10, 48 points. Medium difficulty 12, 25, 2, 6, 3, and 10 is 58 points. And hard is 16 plus 25 plus 2 plus 8 plus 4 and 10 scores 65. I did very well in this play, defeating all 3 levels of difficulty. So that is a hard mode win. And that's generally how I tend to play this game. I like to compare against all 3. Basically, I'm focused on the normal one. I will track it in my board game stats app as a win if I beat the medium difficulty. But if I can beat the hard, that's great to see that as well. So that is the game. And basically, all of the components are the components you've seen on screen. Everything is very simple, very straightforward. But I love the way this game looks. It's super poppy, bright colors. Nice contrast, dark cards versus bright, sort of solid, blocky kind of designs. The planets all roughly look the same, just different sizes based on the numbers and different colors and different sort of patterns on them. And you do see that those patterns sort of mix together. So for example, here is an orange and green planet that you can see is orange and green because there's actually orange and green on it. Here's a pink and green planet, well, because it's pink and green, but also everything is shown by symbol up in the top corner. So you can see then, looking at these three cards, that the symbol for pink and green are here. So it's not just the color, but it's also sort of the design or the texturing of the planet in these small icons that does represent the color. So if you do have any color blindness issues, they should kind of go away because of the different patternings on them. Now, sometimes you do have to pay extra attention at those patterns to make sure you understand what they are. It's also worth noting, especially in the smaller ones, but I'm going to show you in the bigger ones as well, that depending on lighting condition, the pink and the orange can kind of look somewhat similar to each other. In this lighting, with the way that this is lit on my board or on my camera right now, and also with any color correction I've done, that's probably not that difficult to tell the difference between them. But I will say, when I was playing this at my house with my parents, the lighting in our dining room is kind of dim and also very orange, and it did make it quite difficult to see, and my father was struggling a little bit with it. But obviously there could be a little bit more improvement. But again, if you look carefully at the shapings, these sort of have round, bubbly looking kind of markings, and this is more sort of straight, almost laser-like markings. So you can use the different patterns to help figure things out. But otherwise, yeah, I really do enjoy the way that everything looks as it's laid out, as these planets are building, as you're sort of growing these tableaus. Very easy, aside from that one small color issue, to understand and to parse everything that's out on the table. All of the iconography on the rocket tokens, and I'm just going to show you a bunch of them sort of haphazardly here. Very easy to understand at a very quick glance what those rocket tokens are showing. Lots and lots and lots of those tokens included in the game. And again, also lots and lots and lots of the planet cards and sun cards and moon cards and so on. These are the cards that are left in the box. I played with 59, I believe. Let me double check that. Yes, 59 cards, and there are 81 cards here. So I could basically just go ahead and reset the game with this deck of cards. Still wouldn't use all of the cards. I'd only use about this many of them. And I could play through an entire second play of the game without needing to shuffle anything, because I've already got this sort of second deck of cards set up. Really, really amazing to have so many cards. It does make it a little bit more of a beast to shuffle, but that's not that big a problem. I like having the variety in the cards, even if they are very similar to each other, because you don't know what kinds of cards. You saw early on lots and lots of asteroids coming out, but I didn't have any suns to take them, and I really wanted suns to score. So every time you play, it is going to be quite different based on the cards that are coming out. The only other thing I will point out is that this game, if this is a game you're playing a lot, might be a game that you're wanting to sleeve, because these are sort of edge-to-edge paint coloring. There's no borders on these cards, and they are dark printing, so you can kind of see already little bits of nicks on the edges of the cards, which I don't really care. I've never paid enough attention to look for marks on cards to know which cards are coming out, but I just want to point that out to you. The quality of the card, though, is nice. They do have a nice linen finish to them. I just want to mention that the edges might get banged up a little bit as you're playing, and since they are dark background cards, they might start showing that wear a bit more than you would see in other games. So this might be a game you'd want to sleeve. Then the game's insert is this one here. 2 card wells and this sort of tray in the middle. This is the cards that I didn't play with today, and they fit in there very nicely. All of the cards I did play with, plus the starting sun cards, the sort of player aid cards, all fit in together with the remaining cards into this second well. I'm not sure there's space for sleeves in the box, but clearly if you took out this insert, you could definitely make it work. This middle row here is where all of these rocket tokens go. They can sort of just turn upside down and fit in there nicely. They will sort of lay, when they're all in there, at a slight slant, so they are below the level of that box. And then the rule book will fit right on top of that. Very nice small box. It does have nice little cutouts on the sides to help you open the box as well. But it's all a very nice small package, which you probably already recognize if you've ever played Point Salad or Point City, because this is now the third game in a series. But as far as the visuals are concerned, aside from the small issue with the color and the potential scuffing of the dark background cards, I love the way this game looks. I love the way this game feels. Physically, big fan of what I see here. Now meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the gameplay itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. So here we go. Point Galaxy is now the third game in this line of somewhat simple card drafting games with this really interesting idea that both sides of the cards that you're drafting are different kinds of cards. And in the market that you're drafting from, sort of one row is one side of the card and two rows are the other sides of the cards. And when cards sort of refill into the bottom two rows, those cards will flip over and get placed out. So you've got this sort of idea or this need to figure out which side of the card is important and which kinds of things you need to draft. I was quite a big fan of Point Salad. It was a very simple game of either drafting scoring goals or drafting cards that could aim for those scoring goals to score points. And I did get a lot of play out of it, but it always felt a little bit too light for me, and I always kind of wanted more out of that game. Point City did then come out, and Point City was the first game in this series that had a solo mode, and I always wanted to try it out, and for whatever reason, I never got a chance to do so. So now Point Galaxy coming out as another game in that series, again with a solo mode that allows this game to be played solo. And again, comparing to Point Salad, because I never have played Point City, this game adds quite a bit more complexity and quite a bit more sort of tactical and strategic decision making to be made in the game. So let's talk about the game. At its core, again, this is a card drafting game. You've got a market basically of 9 cards, 3 of which are sort of space cards, and the other 6 of which are planet cards. And again, remembering that the planets are on the back side of the sort of space cards. So as you're refilling rows from top down, you will flip over those space cards to become new planet cards. And you're drafting 2 cards from any of those locations on your turn. Now, if you draft a planet card, it doesn't refill until the end of your turn. But if you draft one of the space cards, you then will get to see what's underneath that, so you will get the ability to draft, again, a different space card than was there before you started your turn. So that gives you a little bit of extra information or extra sort of cards available to you depending on how you're drafting things. But then you're drafting these cards ultimately to build different solar systems or columns of cards that you're collecting in your own tableau to score in a variety of different reasons. And ultimately, that's what the game is. Drafting different kinds of cards to build out different kinds of sets to score points in different kinds of ways. So let me sort of dig into how the scoring works, and that'll sort of tie into my thoughts on the game. So your main draft here, as I mentioned, 6 of the 9 cards available to you are planet cards. And these planet cards are going to have value on them from 1 to 7 and will be one of 5 colors: purple, pink, orange, blue, and green. And the colors don't really matter except for other scoring goals that might score based on the colors of the planets, but the numbers are going to be what you're looking at right away. And that's because when you play a planet into a solar system, the second planet you play into there is either going to get placed on top of or behind that planet. And then once it's placed down, that's going to sort of set the order that the numbers of those planets must go in, either increasing or decreasing. Now, they don't need to be sequential. I can put a 3 on top of a 7 if I want to, but that means that I can then never play the 4, 5, or 6 because those should be slotted in between those cards. And it's worth mentioning on future turns that I can play behind or in front of the entire stack. So for example, if I played a 4, 5, I can still play the 3 at the bottom and I can still play the 6 behind the 5. I just can't ever slot anything in between. Now there are also wormhole cards that will get played into that column and effectively reset that counter, so you can basically have sort of 2 sets of cards in the same column, thereby allowing you to go back and put in some of those numbers that you've missed along the way. But ultimately, why are you doing this? Because at the end of the game, for each of these columns, you're going to score more and more points for the number of unique cards, unique valued cards you have in each of these columns. So you're trying your best to get all 7 cards in each of these columns to maximize scoring for each of these systems. At the same time, though, you've got these sun cards. And the suns are going to sit above the row of columns. So each of these columns, each of these solar systems can have one sun, right, at the top of this system. And each of these suns is going to have some kind of unique scoring condition that scores based on the planets in that particular column. And you do start the game off with one of these, but otherwise these are cards, one of the types of cards that you will be drafting from those 3 space cards at the top of the sort of market area. And these suns are going to score points based on saying pairs of the same color or pairs of different color or one of each color in the column or the number of moons that you have in the column and so on. So you're trying now not only to get the numbers in order but also to match the colors or the types of planets or potentially moons, which I'll get to in just a second, that match the sun in that system. Or vice versa, create a system that has a bunch of planets and find a sun that matches to score the most points out of that column. So there's a double sort of set collection happening here where the values matter for one type of scoring, and then the types of planets matter for the other type of scoring based on that sun that's attached to it. I should mention those wormholes that I talked about also come out of those space cards that you can draft from. In addition to the suns and the wormholes, also coming out of those space card areas are also going to be asteroids and moons. The asteroids are going to be a separate set collection that's almost like an area majority kind of thing because you're scoring points based on who has the most asteroids at the end of the game. But the catch is you can only have one asteroid per sun that you have in your sort of tableau. So for each of these columns, you'll have one sun potentially, or 0 if you haven't gotten one. And for each of those suns, you can tuck one asteroid card behind it. Which means then, if you want to have more asteroids, you need to have more suns. But at the end of the game, whoever has the most asteroids scores 10 points, and the second most, I believe, is 6. And in the case of a multiplayer game, I think it's 2 points for the third most asteroids in their tableau. So that's another additional scoring on top of the sort of normal column-based planet and sun scoring. And then finally, you've got moons. Moons are going to slot into the column in between the planets, or behind or in front of the planets. And moons will score a flat number of points if they are placed adjacent to planets of a certain color. There are some moons that score low points for touching a specific single-colored planet, and there are some moons that will score more points if they're able to touch 2 different planets of 2 different colors. It means it's got to be sandwiched between 2 specific colored planets. And again, I told you already that some of the suns will also be scoring based on the number of moons in a given column. So sometimes you may want to even place moons into a column if they aren't going to score, because there's no need to place a moon next to a planet that scores it. You could simply stick the moon into a place, because a moon can be placed anywhere, just to score points based on that sun's scoring condition. So those are all the main sort of normal scoring goals of the game. But then on the planets, there are also some other pieces of information. Some of the planet cards will have rockets printed on them, and some of the planet cards will have these little sort of purple bannered tags on them with some kind of symbol and a letter printed on them. The banners are going to be an additional sort of set collection. At the end of the game, you're going to score a number of points, increasingly growing bigger and bigger based on the number of unique banners that you have on your cards at the end. And those value from A through G. There are 7 different banners, just like there are 7 different values for the planets. And if you can get all 7 tags, you're going to score a whole lot more points than you would if you just got a couple of those tags. And you only score them once. So multiples of the same tag, given no other special conditions, which I'll talk about in a second, won't score any additional points. You only get points for one set and whatever that largest set of these research tags are that you manage to get. Then the last scoring is again another set collection scoring goal, except this time it's going to be based on sort of randomized tokens that are placed out at the beginning of the game. You've got these little rocket tokens. And depending on the number of players, there will be a different number of them set out. And this 2-player game means the solo game, which you're playing against the AI, there are 10 rockets set out. And for every 5 rocket symbols that you're able to collect on your planets, you'll be able to take one of these rockets. And each of these rockets is going to give you some other kind of endgame scoring. Some of them are just flat points, but others will score based on the number of moons you have, the number of certain colored planets you have. Some of them will score more points if you have multiples of the same research type, which I said before didn't score. Well, now it does if you have that rocket. Some of the rockets will simply score on the number of planets, having at least 6 planets, having at least 7 planets, having specific numbered planets in each column, and so on. So these rockets give you an additional kind of scoring goal, another set collection scoring goal for you to score at the end of the game. So now you've got all of this stuff added together. You've got suns that score on types of planets in its column. You've got planets that score on as many values as you can get in a single column. You've got rockets that can score on anything. You've got moons that are scoring based on adjacency to planets in a specific column that might also score on rockets and suns that are scoring on moons. Then you've got these asteroids that are attached to suns that score based on who has the most of them at the end of the game. Excuse me. And as you're going, you're trying to sort of maximize scoring from all of these things at the same time, while playing a very, very, very simple game, because all I'm doing on my turn is taking 2 cards. That's it. I draft 2 cards, I place them in my thing. I draft 2 cards, I place them in my area. The end of the game then, I'm looking at all the cards I drafted and seeing how well was I able to maximize all of these different scoring systems in my tableau. And it feels really, really good. I'm really, really enjoying this game because the mechanics, the mechanisms in this game are super, super simple. Take 2 cards. That's the rules. Take 2 cards. That's it. Now, how those cards get placed and how those cards get scored is the game. So planning, both tactically adjusting to the cards that are coming out randomly in the market, and then strategically thinking about the kinds of things that you're planning and crossing your fingers will come out in the market, both tie together to make for some really interesting decisions from what is an extremely simple mechanical loop in this game. And I really enjoy how much fun comes out of such a simple concept in this game. And then I should mention, the cards in this game, you've got a stack of cards that's huge. For this 2-player game, I think you're using 89 cards, and if I remember right, that means there's still 85 cards left in the box, which means I'm using less than half of the cards every time I play, so there's no way that I can expect or rely on specific cards coming out in any given play, because I could be playing with a completely different set of planets and a completely different sort of ratio of numbers of suns to numbers of asteroids to numbers of wormholes to numbers of moons on the backside of all of these cards. So the way that I play and the things that I have to decide on is not just the random order of the things, but actually the random things that may or may not even exist in that particular gameplay that I'm playing, and I love that. The variation in this game is wonderful. It doesn't play differently at all. Like, the game that I'm playing is exactly the same every time, except that the randomization of what's in the game and when it's going to come out really makes the game feel fresh and different every time I'm playing with a very, very simple core loop of a game. And I have to say, that's what makes this game really cool, because as a gamer, I'm really enjoying how much thought I can really put into this game and how much planning I can really put into this game. But at the same time, I play this with my 6-year-old son, and he loves this game. And it's really simple for him to figure out as well, because the drafting piece is super easy. And then if he doesn't score as many points as me, then that's fine. He doesn't score as many points as me. But every time he's playing, he sees those patterns, and he's learning better how to put these things together, how to maximize, how to most efficiently put all of this stuff together to score more points. And then constantly creeping up and up and up and up to the point where we really are battling in this game. And it feels great that myself, as a real sort of hardcore gamer, can have such a similar experience with someone like my son, who's definitely getting into games, and I would call him definitely a gamer, but he's still sort of getting his feet wet, and he's still learning how these different kinds of systems work, and it really does work well for sort of all different levels of gamers. I really, really enjoy that aspect of it. But let's talk about the solo. This is a solo channel. This is a solo review. The solo mode in this game works very well, and it's very, very simple. All you've got is another rocket token, one of the extras that you're not playing with, pointing to a row of cards, or a column of cards, depending on where it is in the tableau. And every round, it's just rotating around those cards, pointing somewhere else. And all you're going to do is draft the 2 cards that are right in front of wherever it's pointing. So you have some idea of what it might be drafting. So you can absolutely play, just like you would in a multiplayer game, to take cards that you don't want the AI to get. And at the same time, based on the cards that flip over when you take things away. So if I take a planet, the space card's going to flip down. If I take a space card, something else is revealed behind it. there's still that level of randomness that I don't know exactly what's going to happen because the card situation or the card state is going to change in some way before the AI takes their turn. So I've got some ability to predict what's going to happen, some ability not to. I also know which cards they're focused on, so I know which cards I can let stay there for a few rounds. For example, I see this card and this card. I need both of those in my tableau. But the rocket's pointed over here, which means then that I need to draft this card before the AI does. They're not going to get to this for a couple of rounds. I know that that can stay there while I'm dealing with other things, and eventually then I can pick that up. So my priorities do change based on what I see the AI is going to be doing. And then there are 3 difficulty levels that just score differently, which is cool as well because it means I am playing against an AI that is scoring. So there is an endgame scoring that I'm trying to defeat, trying to beat. But there are 3 different levels. And normally when you play a game that has difficulty levels, you sort of pick the difficulty at the beginning of the game, and at the end of the game you see if you won or not. What I love about this system, that the scoring is the only thing that's changing, is that I can sort of play against all 3 difficulties at the same time, and then at the end of the game I can see sort of a ranking of how well I did and how well I was able to beat. And basically I aim for sort of a normal win, I count as a win. And if I can defeat the difficult level, then that's great. And the easy level is always going to be easy at this point because I have played enough now that I'm good at this game. But yeah, being able to have sort of a normal difficulty and a difficult difficulty that I'm trying to beat as a sort of challenge versus an actual what I call a win when I'm recording my wins or losses at the end of a game. And I really do enjoy that. And it really does score, and it absolutely beats me on difficult most of the time and normal some of the time. So the difficulty levels really do mean something. And it does really feel like I'm playing against somebody, and it does mostly feel like I'm playing the same game. Their scoring is a little bit different on some of these sort of more intelligent things in the game, but I was very impressed with how they used the sort of valued cards in a solar system, the planet cards scoring or placement into the tableau in solo, because the AI obviously can't make smart decisions of which color and which number it's drafting. So because of this sort of pointing rocket, so instead it's trying to maximize numbers in each column. So it will place a card in the leftmost column that doesn't have that number, moving on to the next one and filling in. So all of the columns from left to right are filling in as much as possible before spilling over and going into another column. So it really does end up scoring somewhat like a multiplayer or a human opponent would be scoring in a multiplayer game. And yeah, I can't say enough. Yes, it's a very light game. It's a very simple game. I'm not looking for a huge crunchy game here. This is a very simple card drafting game. But the different nested levels of scoring goals and sort of set collection that all has to be thought about at the same time while also dealing with the randomness of the card pulls really works. And it does really work solo probably just as well as it works multiplayer. Maybe not in a big multiplayer game. I've only ever played this 2-player or solo. But so far, I'm really enjoying this game, and this one will absolutely stay in my collection. And now I'm kind of intrigued to go back and play Point City, because I have heard that Point City may be even a bit more sort of leveled up from this one, but I'm not sure because obviously I haven't looked into it too much. But basically what I'm saying is, here's another great game in the series. Again, another great game from this group of designers at Flatout. They keep putting out games that I love. You should probably see coming from me a review of Propolis, and even possibly maybe Knitting Circle coming as well. These Flatout teams keep doing wonderful things, and I am enjoying every step of the way. Great game in my opinion, both multiplayer and solo. Definitely a recommend from me if you are looking for a simple set collection drafting card game with a little bit more meat on its bones as far as how the scoring works and how the sort of decision making goes in the game. That's basically all I have to say about this one. As always, I do hope that this video was helpful for you. And if it was, I do ask that you please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks.